Hi viewers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is HP Fashions GY. We'll be learning on how to make a perfect corset bag using a fabric without an eyelet. Okay, so the first thing I did now was to take the measurement of my back, which is 8.5. Then I'll have to measure my bone. I'll be using 7 inches. Okay, I'll be using 7 inches. All right, so I actually left the other allowance for seam allowance. Instead of using 8.5, I used 7 inches. Okay, so I'll be getting two of it. So after I've gotten these, you can go ahead and iron your bone, but I did not iron. All right, so I'll go ahead and fold my rope into two. I've already sewn my rope already. I'll go ahead and fold it into two. Then I'll take a measurement of about 1.3 inches. All right, not up to 1.5, folded into two. So when you spread open, you should be getting about 2.5 or so. All right, so I'll go ahead and get the same measurement over and over again. Then afterwards, I'll mark about half an inch on top of my bone. Then give a spacing of 1.1 inches. I'll use about 1.1 inches. All right, I'll repeat the same procedure until I get to the end of the bone measurement. Okay, all right, so I'll use the same. This is actually for one side of the back. I'm using about 1.1 inches for this. Okay, so this is it. Then I'll just mark it right there. All right, so after this is done, remember I've already cut my rope already, so I'll just fold it into two, then top stitch on top of my bone. All right, yeah, so I'll just top stitch. I'll have to do it gradually because it's actually thick and the bone is a bit strong, so I'll have to do this carefully. Okay, all right, so the reason why I left a spacing of about half an inch on top is actually for my upper part. So I will place another one on top of the next line, then I will keep placing on top of each line. Okay, so this is actually the perfect way to actually sew a corset cross back. Okay, so, or a corset back. So this is it, using the material. So this is the perfect way to achieve it. All right, so this is it. This is for one of it. So I've gotten to the end of this, so I'll go ahead and take out my excess thread and all. Alright, so this is what I have. I'll go ahead and do for the second side, giving a spacing of about half an inch at the top, then 1.1 inches on the down part. I'll have to repeat the same procedure over and over and over until I get to the end of the bone. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is actually the last one. All right, so after this is done, I'll go ahead and start placing my rope folded into two on top of each lines. Okay, so ensure it's actually on top of the lines. All right, so that all the measurements will be equal, everything will be perfect and all. All right, so this is the perfect way to actually sew a corset rope at the back of the dress. So I will actually ensure I place every part of this on the line I actually mapped out. Okay, so yes, I'll have to place it exactly on the line. I wouldn't want to shift it because I want everything to be equal. I want every measurement to be equal, exactly the same, the way I marked it. Okay, so at this point now, go ahead and stitch and take off the excess thread out of it. Then this is what I have for this. Then I'll have to place it on my fabric. The rope should be facing inside the fabric, all right, while the bone on top. I actually made a provision of about 1 inch upward or ½ inch upward. It all depends on what you kept or the allowance you provided for it. Okay, so at this point now I'll be sewing directly on top of the bone, exactly the on top of the stitches I made on the bone. Okay, I will not shift, I will not go front or back. I'll just sew it exactly on top, exactly the way it is on the bone. I'll just top stitch it. Okay, so once I get to that point, I'll take off my excess thread, then get my lining for this, what I'll be using to turn this up. Okay, so I will just place them together. All right, I'll place them together, ensuring that everything is okay. Then I will start my sewing from the side because I need to seal up the upper part. I need to seal up the upper part of the dress, so I'll be making do of the measurements. So once I get to that point, I will just turn and sew directly on top of the bone again, on top of the stitches again. You have to do this gradually. I'm not going to shift my stitches. I actually stitch directly on top of the stitches I've made before. That's why it's actually very good to stitch at the tip of the bone, so that when sewing this part you won't find any difficulty. Okay, so when I turn up, this is what I have. Okay, this is exactly what I have for my bone, for my back, for the back of the dress. Okay, so I'll go ahead and top stitch this. After top stitching, then I will go ahead and give it a nice press for this part, right, while I start making the other side of the back. All right, so at this point now I've placed my bone on the back of my other side of the half length. Okay, all right, so I will sew directly on top of the stitches I've made on the bone already. So I'll just stop stitch it again. But based on the style of the dress, it has an opening at the back. That's why this fabric has an opening at the back, but it won't still stop what we are doing. Okay, so once we get to that point, we'll go ahead and stitch and take off the excess thread. All right, so at this point now I'll go ahead and turn it all up with my lining. All right, so my lining, I did not provide any opening yet. The opening is just basically at the main fabric. So this is it. And mind you, the placing of the bone is actually on the right side of the fabric. Okay, so at this point now I'll still go ahead and top stitch on top of the stitches I've made already. Okay, I'll go ahead and top stitch. Okay, so once I get to the point of the upper part, then I would go ahead and turn it up to seal up the upper part. All right, so if you find this video very helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn up your notification button, so whenever we post new videos we get notifications and follow up. Okay, so we'll go ahead and turn all up, then give it a nice press. All right, we'll iron the two. The other side has an opening on the down part. All right, this is what we have. This is how it looks like. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is what it looks like, looking very fine. See you next time in my next video. Bye.